Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know What the News You Trust studio, sponsored by the Family Forest Carbon Program, where we help family forest owners get paid to improve the health of their woods. On the calendar this week, powered by Soy Biodiesel, we'll head to the Pickaway County Fair, all thanks to Leist Mercantile. We'll be there on Wednesday with experience you can trust, all thanks to LeistMercantile.com. Also, don't forget, stay ahead of the soybean farming with the latest research and insight. Follow the Ohio Field Leader Program at OCJ.com, brought to you by the Ohio Soybean Council and the Soybean Checkoff. Well, the Environmental Protection Agency released its long-awaited renewable volume obligations proposal for 2026 and 27, which included historic increases in biomass-based diesel volumes and recommendations to strengthen domestic markets for U.S. soybean farmers. As we celebrate the 20th anniversary of Renewable Fuel Standard, the American Soybean Association applauds the work of President Trump, Administrator Zeldin, and Secretary Rollins in promoting American energy dominance and strengthening a key domestic market for U.S. soybean farmers, said Caleb Ragland, American Soybean Association President and soybean farmer from Magnolia, Kentucky. The significant increase is proposed volumes for biomass-based diesel will support soybean farmers, soybean processors, and biofuel producers in rural America and serves as a much-needed win for our communities. We thank the Trump administration for recognizing and supporting this vital value chain for U.S. agriculture. Now, the proposed rule makes significant increases in volume requirements for biomass-based diesel from 3.35 billion gallons in 2025 to 5.61 billion gallons in 2026. That's a 67% increase. For years, ASA and others in the domestic biofuel value chain argued that the previous renewable volume obligations missed the mark and did not account for the feedstock availability nor production capacity. If finalized, this proposal would jumpstart a biofuel industry that has largely been crippled by weak renewable identification numbers credit values. Additionally, EPA proposed a new concept to discount the RIN credit value for foreign finished fuel and fuels proposed using foreign feedstocks. As soybean farmers struggle to maintain biofuel feedstock market share amid the rapidly growing flood of cheap foreign feedstock like used cooking oil, this proposal would again give U.S. agriculture a competitive edge in the biofuel value chain. ASA looks forward to continuing to engage with the EPA as the proposal enters a period of stakeholder engagement and feedstock. What was the market reaction to that on Friday's close? July beans were up 27.5. So were November new crop up 27.5, bringing it to 10.54 3/4. July wheat followed along up 17 1/4, and July corn was up 6 at 4.44.5. With weekend other news, it'll be interesting to see where the markets go throughout the overnight trade and into tomorrow. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
We've got a dry start to the week here in Ohio, but more moisture is headed towards us. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that forecast update. Got a mix of clouds and sunshine for your Monday. I won't rule out a few pop-up showers as we get close to sunset. And then through the overnight tonight, we are going to be dealing with on-again, off-again light moisture. When I say light, we're talking a few hundredths to a tenth or two. That's all I really have going on here for tonight. The moisture lingers through a large part of tomorrow. Your Tuesday feels damp in many areas, probably picking up another tenth to 4/10 of an inch, coverage around 80% of the state. Moving into the overnight Tuesday night, early Wednesday, I think we dry down a bit. Later Wednesday afternoon and evening through Thursday, we have a frontal boundary that comes through that brings another 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch across 90% of Ohio. That leads to a dry finish to the week. Friday is partly to mostly sunny and dry. Seeing some warmth start to build in through the weekend as well. Temperatures above normal for the first time in a little bit. So we're very warm, very dry through the weekend. But the only thing we will say keep an eye out for is some heat-based pop-up thunderstorm activity. I don't think there's a huge threat for that, but if we see it, it would be overnight, Saturday night into Sunday, and then again overnight Sunday night into Monday. No frontal-based action until we get to next Tuesday, and that's a brief sweep through before we go right back to warm air to finish the month. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Farmers would be paid the higher calculated payment rate under the price loss coverage or agricultural risk coverage for the 2025 crop year under the Senate Ag Committee's proposal for budget reconciliation. In the farm program section of the bill, the Senate version increases the effective reference price escalator formula under price loss coverage from 85% in the House version to 88% of the 5-year Olympic moving average marketing year average price. For the current crop year, the Senate bill has language that USDA will provide producers with the higher calculated payment rate in 25 for agricultural risk coverage, or PLC. Producers would then go back to choosing which program they prefer in the 2026 and beyond programs. Like the House, payment limits would increase from $125,000 to $155,000, and then the payment limit would increase based on an inflation index. The bill also removes income caps for farmers whose entities that draw 75% or more of their income from agriculture or forestry. Also, like the House bill, the plan has provisions that would allow USDA to enroll up to 30 million new base acres for farmers based on production history of that ground. The bill also increases budget authority for conservation programs by more than $16 billion by rolling in conservation funds from the Inflation Reduction Act. While some changes were made to the food assistance cuts, this bill continues to include an unprecedented cost shift, forcing tens of billions of SNAP costs onto state governments for the first time. Farm groups support the Senate Ag proposal. NCGA and American Soybean Association released statements in support on Thursday, as did the National Potato Council and the National Milk Producers Federation. And with corn growing like a proverbial weed, so too are the real ones. What isn't growing, however, are the windows in which post-emergence herbicides can be applied. Depending on the crop height or growth stage, time may be running out to spray herbicides over the top of corn. Larry Steckel, University of Tennessee Extension wheat specialist, notes that with all the heat and water, corn is putting on a new leaf every 3 days. For some fields, time is running out for safely applying herbicides over the top. Not all herbicides have the same corn growth stage cutoffs. Herbicide labels will often state that the application is restricted by whichever is reached first, either the height or the growth stage. So it's good to review before spraying. Also, Steckel reminds growers that when tank mixing herbicides, the cutoff is always determined by the most limiting factor. Back with more after this.
Soybeans are making waves in aquaculture. As a top protein source for fish farming, soy meal is essential for producing sustainable farm-raised fish. With fish farming as the fastest growing food sector, soybeans meet the demand for eco-friendly, nutritious options. From soybean fields to fish farms, soybeans power the farms that feed families. Brought to you by the Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Get the equipment and trucks you need at the Ritchie Brothers' next Great Lakes Regional event on June 26th and 27th. This absolute unreserved auction will feature online bidding, and items are located in Columbus, Chicago, and Detroit. Choose from over 2,000 items, including a wide selection of construction equipment, truck, tractors, and more. Don't miss Ritchie Brothers' Great Lakes Regional event on June 26th and 27th. For more details, visit rbauction.com. Again, that's rbauction.com.
Hey, just a reminder, the 25th Annual Crawford Antique Farm Machinery Show is June 19th through the 21st at the Crawford County Fairgrounds in Bucyrus. Visit the Crawford Antique Farm Machinery Association on Facebook to learn more. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Call for more information on marketing your beans to LDC. Call 574-566-2113 with analysis. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished sharply higher on Friday. Let's see what the issue was. Well, first of all, the closes. Corn up about 2 cents. Wheat up anywhere from 13 to 18 cents across all three markets, Chicago, KC, Minneapolis. And beans up 24 to 28 cents overall. It was a big day on Friday. Energy markets are rocketed higher based on Israel attacking Iran. So all sorts of weekend headlines associated with that will probably play into the Monday trade. The other shocker was the Trump administration's proposed RVO plan. It was surprisingly bullish. Biofuels are a part of a homegrown energy solution. It's not a big green lie. That's what came out of the Trump administration. It supported a sharp rally in the marketplace. European traders discussed a renewed surge in demand for wheat and barley as consumers saw prices come to a multi-year low. The price risk shifted after the RVO announcement. The only unknown on the biofuels front was the potential announcement of a small refinery exemption somewhere in the coming weeks here overall. President Trump put out the RVOs, elevating them and putting together a 50% reduction in RINs of foreign imports. This really was what we needed to get this market going. Brokers estimate that funds bought 18,000 contracts of soy oil. It was locked to limit higher all session long. We had 12,000 contracts of soybeans bought, 4,600 contracts of soy meal sold, 6,400 contracts of corn bought, 6,300 contracts of wheat. It was a very active day last Friday. Now let's go to that Israel and Iran story. Geopolitical issues here. Some 20 million barrels of crude oil flow through the Strait of Hormuz each day. In prior discussions, Iran threatened to close the strait if it was attacked. We'll see what happens on that coming forward. Remember, Russia is also a supporter of Iran. Its actions closely being watched as we come out of the weekend and go into this week. Had a huge spike in oil prices. They came back as we went through the day. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. We'll take a look at the overnight figures after this. Think biodiesel is just another fuel? Think again. Biodiesel is Ohio innovation on the move. Clean, green, and built to keep diesel engines running strong. It's an engine booster, a soybean supporter, and an environmental champion all in one. Every gallon reduces emissions, strengthens Ohio farms, and powers your ride. Drive with purpose. Choose biodiesel. Learn how at soyohio.org.
A healthy body needs good food. This summer, the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce is sponsoring Sun Meals, a summer food program where kids eat free. Children under 18 receive healthy meals and no sign-up is required. Locations may be right in your neighborhood. Call 1-866-348-6479 or visit education.ohio.gov/kidseat for meal locations and times. That's education.ohio.gov/kidseat.
Today's market is brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Overnight at the open, July corn down a penny and 1/4 at $4.43 1/4. December down 1 at $4.42. March $4.57, down 3/4. Now remember, beans had a good rally on Friday. As we look to start off the week, July beans are up 3/4 at $10.70 1/2. November beans up 3 at $10.57 3/4, and January up 3 at $10.70 1/2. The July wheat is down 3/4 cent at $5.43. September down 1/4 cent at $5.59. If you carried it out to December, it's unchanged, but it's at $5.80 1/2. In livestock on Friday's close, June cattle down $3.10 at $225.10. August down $4.50 at $212.45. In October down $4.42 at $209.92. Hogs were mixed. July up 57 at $109.45. August down a nickel at $110.12. October up 27 cents at $94.20. Now, the September feeder cattle were down $4.95, but still at $305.60. October down $5.10 at $303.35, and November down $5.15 at $300.77. Lots of things going on in Washington as well as internationally, and Mother Nature also has to be something we keep an eye on. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, everyone. I'm Dale Minyo. This is the Ohio AgNet.